Hey there, my name is Jonathan Savage-Garcia. Today I will be continuing the case study with this presentation. I'm going to go over the behavior goals, the interventions for my client, and I'll also be going over cultural considerations, ways to monitor progress, and treatment integrity, as well as gaining and gauging the client's consent and assent. So to start off, some of the client's behavioral goals included decreasing disruptive behavior during group activities, learning to tie their shoes, and responding to intraverbal questions based on who and when. Disruptive behavior was defined as getting out of their seat when they're supposed to be seated, making sounds unrelated to group activities, refusing to participate, and interacting with other peers to take their attention away from the group activity. Learning to tie their shoes consisted of completing a shoe tying task analysis to the point where they would be able to independently tie their shoe once becoming aware of it being untied. Responding to intraverbal questions was based on who and where questions. This consisted of correctly responding to various who-based and when-based questions, such as who cleans your teeth within 5 seconds. For the sake of this presentation, I'm going to be focusing on decreasing disruptive behavior during group activities. To achieve behavior goals, my supervisor and I agreed that using the evidence-based practice of behavior contracts would be effective. They've been shown to decrease target behaviors by associating positive outcomes with the compliance of predetermined behavioral expectations. The client and the RBT created a behavior contract together. The RBT outlined expected behaviors such as staying seated, using a quiet voice, and participating in at least 2 activities. And then the client agreed to comply in exchange for a reinforcer that they chose. This could have been something like their favorite snack, or jumpies, or playing with sand, etc. The functional relevance of the intervention is shown through satisfying the hypothesized function of the behavior, which was attention. So providing positive praise and their favorite snack were meant to replace the attention they would receive otherwise when engaging in disruptive behavior. Next, we're going to talk about assent and consent. So gaining the consent was simple thanks to the client's speech abilities. They were able to respond yes or no to agree or disagree with the behavior contract and any of the conditions. Gaining and maintaining assent was monitored through observing the client's body language. So if they engaged in behaviors that indicated disagreement, such as stiffening their body or making worried, scared faces, then the RBT would ask questions to gauge whether the client was still in agreement with everything. And then when implementing the behavior contract with the client, my supervisor and I predicted that the client may engage in vocal protest or tantrums as an initial response to the intervention. On account of this, we planned on using some calming techniques to assist the client in calming down. These included taking a deep breath, counting to 10, and asking for a break. Once the client was calmed down, the RBT would then prompt functional communication so that they could express themselves properly. Next, we're going to talk about client progress and treatment integrity. So in order to monitor progress, my supervisor suggested that we use a tracking frequency for the disruptive behavior and that this would be an effective tracking method. My supervisor also monitored my first session, introducing the intervention, and then supervised 3 additional sessions in a 2-week period in order to observe treatment integrity. The last thing we're going to talk about today is the cultural considerations that I used during this presentation. Not during this presentation, during this intervention. One of the cultural considerations was implementing this intervention was incorporating the fact that my client came from a Hispanic family, specifically Puerto Rican. This led to certain items that they preferred. So their favorite snack was a Puerto Rican snack that the family knew where to get and had plenty of. So we made sure to use this as a high-level reinforcer to further secure compliance for the intervention. That is the end of my presentation today, and I hope you guys had a good time. This is the reference that I used for the evidence-based practice of behavior contracts.